Okay, so we're going to carry on now with section number 2, disruption to the food chain. So you should have by now given yourself a quiz using the spreadsheet that I use in class, or if you want, you can take this and you can cover these up and write them out like I've shown you. But it's good if you can do the spreadsheet ones because that involves or includes topics or questions from previous topics, which helps you remember those for future. So you should have done the quiz, then you should have marked your homework using the previous video, and now we're going to look at the next topic. So disruption to the food chain. So we know all about food chains, we know all about food webs, and now we're going to think about disrupting those. So a change in one part of a food chain or web can have a significant effect on other parts of the food chain or web. Take the example discussed in the previous section. So we all know about this. If humans decided to stop eating cows and sheep, this could possibly cause the population of cows and sheep to increase. Of course, okay? Humans are predators for cows and sheep. If we stop eating cows and sheep, then it stands to reason that the numbers of cows and sheep are going to increase. And you'll remember that from the predator-prey graphs that we did. All right, so when the number of predators decrease, the number of prey will increase. So if humans stop eating cows and sheep, they'll go up. Okay, so that's simple, but there can be very complicated effects. So if a disease spread through the population of cows and caused their numbers to decrease, this could cause humans to eat more sheep, causing the population of sheep to also decrease. So imagine the cows get a disease, so their numbers go down. All right, which means that there's not enough cows for the humans to eat. So the humans are hungry, not enough cows for them to eat as normal. What do? They start to eat more sheep. What does that do to the number of sheep? The number of sheep also goes down. So you see how by changing the number of cows, that can have an effect on the number of sheep. All right? If the amount of grass decreased, this could possibly affect the population of cows, sheep, and humans. So let's imagine that some disease goes through the grass population and the amount of grass goes down. Well, there's not enough grass for the cows and the sheep to eat. The cows and the sheep decrease in number. And then there's not enough cows and sheep for the humans to eat. So the humans decrease in number. That's unlikely to happen because humans eat lots of different stuff. But if it was really just this simple, that's what would happen. So in Africa, the hunting of lions and leopards caused their population to decrease. This allowed the population of olive baboons to increase. Now, the reason that happened is because lions and leopards are predators for olive baboons. So if we were to draw out a simple food web for this, we could have olive baboons, and they are eaten by lions and leopards. Okay, now humans, they hunt lions and leopards, so the population of lions and leopards decrease. All right, now, because there are fewer lions and leopards, that means the number of olive baboons is going to increase because they're not being eaten by the lions and the leopards. All right, so what did this cause? This is actually what happened in Africa. Because of the increased population of olive baboons, they came in more frequent contact with humans. So, it's obvious that if there are more olive baboons, they're going to occupy a wider area in their habitat. And then they're more likely to come into contact with other different organisms, including humans. And what that means then was that disease was able to pass between olive baboons and humans. So diseases were able to pass between the olive baboon and human populations. Now, when the humans, so if you can imagine humans here, and the humans, all they want to do is they want to hunt lions and leopards. They think, hunting lions and leopards is fun. But what happens is they hunt the lions and leopards, population of olive baboons go up, more olive baboons, more interaction with humans, more interaction between humans and olive baboons, and the transfer of disease between the two. Now, there's no way that humans could have predicted that. I mean, maybe they could have done, but it's unlikely. So you need to be really careful about what you do to a food chain. All right. Now, there's another example here. Okay, so in communist China, there was a campaign which encouraged people to kill sparrows to prevent them from eating seeds and grain. Okay, so you can have here just some sort of seeds or grain, and then they get eaten by sparrows. But also, we've got humans. Now, humans also want to eat seeds and grain. Okay, so if there's a limited supply of seeds and grain, the humans think, well, look, if we get rid of the sparrows, okay, then that seeds and grain are not going to be eaten. All right, so there'll be more seeds and more grain available for us. Okay, perfect situation. So the humans think, let's kill all the sparrows. Okay, however, wasn't that simple, because the food web didn't actually look like this. However, sparrows also eat many insects. So actually, the food web looked like this. Okay, it's a bit more complicated than what they thought. They had, let's say we have here, seeds. All right. Now, things that eat seeds are humans, insects, and sparrows. Okay, and the way that these interact were, seeds were eaten by humans, the seeds were eaten by sparrows, and the seeds were eaten by insects. But, importantly, the insects were also eaten by sparrows. Now, what happens is, the humans, they kill the sparrows, so the number of sparrows decreases. Because there are fewer sparrows, the number of insects is able to increase. And because the number of insects has increased, they eat more seeds, so the number of seeds actually goes down. So you see, the humans thought, well, if I kill the sparrows, they'll eat fewer seeds. But actually what happened was, the humans killed the sparrows, fewer sparrows eat insects, so more insects were able to live, and they eat more seeds, meaning the amount of seeds actually went down. All right, now that's quite complicated, so if you want, you might want to pause it and watch that section again where I explain how that worked, because it's really important. It was almost impossible for them to predict, okay? So here we can say, however, sparrows also eat many insects, and when their numbers decreased almost to extinction, the population of locusts, a type of insect, exploded. These locusts caused damage to crops and was one cause of widespread famine. So what actually happened in China was, after a few years, the government had to come out and say, look, we were wrong, stop killing sparrows. This isn't having what the effect that we thought it would happen on. All right. So a food chain or a food web can help us understand the interdependence of different organisms and how a change in the population of one organism can affect the population of others. Look at the food web and answer the questions. Okay, so what we have now is 10 questions. All right, so using this food web here, all right, you need to answer these 10 questions. Now, the first few are they're just revision questions, aren't they? Identify the producer, easy. Name one herbivore, easy. Name one carnivore, easy. What is an apex predator? Okay, easy. I've just mentioned that in this video, or the last video. You'll be able to figure out. In this food web, there are 2 apex predators. Name them. Okay, so you need to start thinking now, well, an apex predator is one that's at the top. All right, in other words, it's one that has no other predators. Okay, so for example, you might say that a vole is a predator to caterpillar, but it's also a prey to hawks. Okay, it's not the same for apex predators. Now, from question 6, they get a little bit more complicated. So, if the rabbit population was decreased due to disease, what effect would this have on the fox population? So let's imagine the number of rabbits decreases. All right, well, how is that going to affect the foxes? Well, foxes eat rabbits, so if the number of rabbits goes down, then there's less food for the foxes. Okay, but it's not the end of the world for the foxes, because they also eat frogs and they also eat voles. So yeah, it might decline, but they'll probably be able to eat more frogs and eat more voles. So actually, decreasing the rabbit population is probably going to have more of an impact on the number of frogs and the number of voles than it does on the number of foxes. All right, so you need to think about this very subtly. So I'll say that again. If the number of rabbits decrease, you might think that the number of foxes would decrease, and it might do. But if there are fewer rabbits for the foxes to eat, that means they'll probably just eat more frogs and more voles. So decreasing the number of rabbits will actually cause the number of frogs and voles to decrease. All right. Now, 7, I think we should be able to answer that. Snail population, if all the thrushes died, yeah, that's fine. If the snail population decreased, what possible effect does it have on the hawk or the vole and the frog population? I think we should be able to do that. And a new organism introduced to the ecosystem which rapidly eats all of the grass. How would that affect the organisms in the food web? Okay, so I think what we can see here is that the reason that food webs happen, the reason that animals eat more than one, or one of the reasons that animals eat more than one other organism, is to prevent against something like a scarcity in rabbits. So if foxes only ate rabbits and there was a disease in the rabbit population, the foxes would die as well. But because foxes eat many organisms, there's a protection against any problems with a decrease in the rabbit population. Okay, so what you need to do now is answer those 10 questions in your book. And once you've answered those 10 questions in your book, you need to just have a read of this chapter at the top of the next page. Okay, just a read of the paragraph at the top of the next page, okay? And then next week, we'll do bioaccumulation. Okay? All right, very good. See you all next